In August, we harvest the crops intensively. The pantry is filled with vegetables, fruit, and preserves. This month, you can sow vegetables that we will harvest this season, but also those that will be harvested next season in spring. If spring sowing has failed, you can try to sow those vegetables again now that do not like hot weather and will mature before frost. At the beginning of August, from the seed bed, we transfer the previously prepared seedling of butter and shortbread lettuce, kohlrabi, kale, and fennel to the beds. We can sow chard, beetroot leaves, in the first days of the month, paying attention to regular watering and weeding. Sow the garden dill by August 15th, it will mature before the first frosts. Germination takes 2 weeks and in the third one you can cut the young leaves. Remember to water it regularly. Late varieties such as emerald and ambrosia will be best. Choose vegetables that can withstand frost, such as spinach. Sown in August you will harvest in September and October. Sown later, you will harvest in the spring. Spinach likes the sun but without the heat, so the autumn weather is favorable for it. Chinese cabbage. Sow it by August 15th. It springs up after about 8 days and grows better when there is hay directly into the ground because it does not like transplanting. It tolerates frosts well. For Chinese cabbage, this is the deadline and the soil for its cultivation should be fertile and regularly irrigated. You can sow the Savoy cabbage until the middle of the month for the November harvest. Pak choi. Better to sow it in early August, but it can be sown until the middle of this month. Komatsuna, or mustard spinach. It can be sown throughout August, it develops very quickly. By mid-August you will still have time to sow turnips. Recommended varieties for this period are Golden Ball, Black Woman. Throughout August, you can sow Misuna. It yields very quickly and abundantly. We sow it several times to obtain a large yield of this vegetable. Chervil is also one of the fruitful vegetables that you can sow in August and harvest this season. The chervil tolerates frost well, as does the endive, which you can also sow. Lamb's lettuce, which is ready to eat just 60 days after sowing, is another frost-resistant vegetable that you can sow right now. If left in a bed, it spreads easily by itself, as is arugula, which you can sow throughout this month. If left in the soil, they will reproduce on their own in the bed. It is worth sowing them in a bed with perennial vegetables. You can also plant sorrel in the same bed. It is a frost-resistant perennial plant that is regularly cut and grows profusely throughout the season. You will harvest it in the spring if you will sow it now. Also, chives that are perennial, sown now will yield a plentiful harvest in spring. They can be pruned and this one will grow back regularly. When the sun is not scorching anymore, you can start sowing radishes. These are vegetables that like sunny but not hot days, otherwise they will shoot out and the root will be weak. For August sowing, we choose late varieties such as Silesia, Icicle, Varta, Zlata, Carmisa. We can sow onions for the spring harvest. We sow it by mid-August at the latest. We choose early and medium-late varieties, e.g. Bila, Albion, Effect, Cherniakowska, Clipper, Corona, Effect, Hilton, Christine, Rosca, Spirit, Wenta. 7-year-old onion, i.e. green onion. Sowing can take place throughout August and you can sow it straight into the ground, so it grows even better. Butter and crispy lettuce will be ready in about 30 days. Late varieties are Awalina, Dipko, Justina, Plenty, and leaf varieties. By the end of August, sow the snakeskin, Scorzonera, which we will not harvest until next year. The seeds are very sensitive to lack of water, young seedlings are sensitive to frosts, but the older plant is frost resistant. Likes deeply cultivated positions. Green beans. Its growing season is 70-100 days, dwarf varieties have a shorter growing season, 60-90 days, so if you sow them at the beginning of August, harvesting should take place before the frosts, or you can cover it later with a foil tunnel if the weather is unfavorable. If spring sowing broad beans and peas have failed, you can try sowing now. Sow them at the beginning of the month. Pea emergence takes 10 days, and the minimum temperature for germination is 2 to 4 degrees Celsius. The length of the growing season for peas ranges from 60 to 90 days, depending on the variety. The growing season for broad beans can last from 75 to 120 days, depending on the variety. Until about August 20th, it is advisable to prune tomatoes, peppers and pumpkins. This helps direct the plant's power to develop and ripen fruits instead of creating new ones that will not mature before frost. In August, you can also sow marigold, which is worth sowing between vegetables to protect against pests. Calendula tolerates well lower temperatures, down to about -5 degrees Celsius. A plant left on a bed can sow itself from seeds and emerge in the spring.